Hi, everyone. Happy Thursday. Hi, Pete.
Hello.
Thank you guys so much for joining us. We'll give everyone just a minute here to get on. Sorry, we're a minute late. Technical difficulties there. But we're so happy to have you join us today. Pete and I are going to be walking through our priority inbox in social feeds in Sendible. So, for anyone who hasn't joined us before, my name is Heather. I am our customer success manager here at Sendible, and this is Pete. Pete is with our customer support team. And throughout the session today, we're going to take the first 15 minutes and walk through the priority inbox and social feeds, really focusing on the differences between the two as well. And then the second part of the session, we'll make sure we leave some time for live Q&A. So if you do have any questions throughout the session, please sure to submit them in to us. You can do so through the question box. You'll see Marcus and Pete just said hi in the chat. To the right of that is questions. You can go ahead and submit any questions you have into the question box there. If I can please just ask you to keep your questions relevant, thank you so much, Pete, to today's topic, which again is the priority inbox and social feeds within Sendible. So any questions related to those topics, we will make sure that we can go ahead and address at the end of the session. To get us started, we always love to start with an icebreaker. I'm going to go back to a classic, which I'm sure everyone has had before. But if you want to participate in the icebreaker, you can just go ahead and pop into the chat. And the question is, what is your favorite most recent book? So a recent book you've read that is your favorite. I am actually still in the process of reading mine, but it is actually Imposter Syndrome by Kathy Wang. It is a novel, but it is really good, and I highly recommend it. If anyone is looking for like a good read novel-wise, I'll put it. Oops, muted myself. It is Imposter Syndrome by, I think it's Kathy Wang. Highly recommend. Look at all these recommendations. I love it. That's awesome. Always good to get some good book recommendations. I am, I don't know if anyone is part of like book clubs or anything, but I'm part of a book club that you get a new book every month. And it's so awesome to find different ones. Cool. If you're just joining us, we're just doing our icebreaker. It's adding in your favorite book that you've recently read. You can just go ahead and pop that into the chat. And I am going to go ahead and jump into it. So I'm going to start sharing my screen. Let's make sure everything is working all right. 1 second here. Awesome. So you should be able to go ahead and see my screen here. You'll see it says my dashboard and Ellie in the top right. My name is Heather. I'm not Ellie, just using this as an account. And I'm going to go ahead and start with the first part, dive into the priority inbox and social feeds. And then as I mentioned, Pete will join us towards the end of the session to help with some questions. Please don't forget to submit your questions into the question box as well. So to get us started, I really wanted to touch on what is the priority inbox. So when you're in your Sendible account, you always first are brought into your calendar, right? So you're able to see the content that you have scheduled or your team or clients have scheduled, and that's under the published calendar. Now, next to published, you'll see where it says activity, and the first section is the priority inbox. The priority inbox, I like to think of as an alert view or an area to come to monitor and engage with like active or ongoing engagement of your profiles. So alerts from the profiles that you're managing. The reason I say that is we're going to talk about social feeds, and I really like to highlight the difference between priority inbox and social feeds. So again, just mentioning that the priority inbox is more of actionable engagement. So if someone has taken an action on a profile you manage, whether they've mentioned you in something or they've left a comment on a post, maybe they've sent you a direct message, those items, depending on the social network, are going to be brought into the priority inbox for you. Then you have your priority inbox view as a way to work through these different engagements and interact with them. Keeping in mind, depending on the social network will depend on what you're able to do and what you're able to see in your priority inbox. So I'm going to run through a couple of examples here to show you a few. But before I do that, I want to take a look at the whole priority inbox kind of more as a whole. So when you first get into the priority inbox here, you're going to see this list of these different engagement items that are being brought in. So what we're seeing here is that a user, in this example from Twitter, has taken some type of action on this profile. So this is just our Sendible Twitter account. And you'll notice here it's a mention. So Sendible has been mentioned in a tweet. And so that's pulling into the priority inbox for me. Now you'll notice that in the priority inbox, different profiles will be able to bring in different types of engagement. So whether it's Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, and so on from there. And I'll dive into that in just a moment. But taking a look at the view of the priority inbox, you have a couple different options of what you can do here. So you can come over and you can filter by a specific time frame. So let's say you just want to see last week, you could go ahead and select last week and filter. You can filter to a specific profile. So if you're just looking for one specific profile that you want to see, you could do right so by clicking on it and filtering in. You can search as well just here using the search function. You'll notice over on the left, you have a few different options as far as how you can use this. So you'll see this icon here that says archive. Now, what this is related to is when you're looking at your priority inbox, if you go ahead and interact with an item in your inbox, that will stay in your inbox. How I usually like to look at this, and this is more of a best practice, is to use your priority inbox as a task list. Almost, I love lists and checking things off. And you can do the same with your inbox where I've come in, let's say I've interacted with this item here, and I want to go ahead and archive it or mark it as complete is another way to think about it. If I select here, when I check it, you'll notice that this icon is now bold. So I have the option to archive it. If I archive it, it's not going to delete it. All it's going to do is move it into my archive folder. So then it's under archived. I can go back to it if I need to, but it's out of this like active view of different things that I need to go through and work through. Again, just keeping in mind that you can use it kind of as a checklist or a task list here. So that's the archive function. Here you'll see refresh, so you can just refresh your view to continue, if you're sitting on the page, to continue seeing new items coming in. You can export the information within your priority inbox to a CSV. You can also view your archived folder. So if I clicked on archive only, it's going to show me all of the items that I've already archived. So if I marked this as archived and I want to go back to it, I would just click on archive here and it would pull that up for me. So that's giving kind of a high level view of what you can do from the priority inbox as far as filtering and views. I want to now take a look at the different items that are going to be pulled into the priority inbox. So when we first come in here, we're seeing Twitter. So let's use Twitter as an example. So I'm going to go in and I'm going to filter into the Sendible Twitter. Now you'll notice here, we're seeing a few different things. This is showing me that Sendible Twitter account has been mentioned in a tweet, and I can see that here. Now the content is always going to be the main part that you see, and over on the right are going to be the different ways that you can interact with the content. Depending on the social network, these will vary. So for this one, I could go ahead and like it. I could retweet it. If I click retweet, what it's going to do is it's going to pull up this mention into the compose box that we're familiar with and allow me to actually retweet this here, schedule it and retweet it. Next to that, you'll see where it says show conversation. Now this is really handy if you're looking at like a comment from a post thread. You can see the full conversation from show conversation, and I'll show you an example of that in a moment. You can repost as well, similar to retweet. Repost would be if maybe you're mentioned in something or it's your content and you're looking to repost it somewhere else. You can also reply. So if I click on reply, very similar that it's going to pull up the compose box here, but it's going to tag this user so as if I'm replying to them. And same thing, I can schedule or send now. And so that's going to go ahead and be for this Twitter mention. You'll notice down here that there is a message as well. So you'll always be able to differentiate by the icon sitting here, which is great. And from here, I can click reply. I want to go ahead and move out of Twitter and move into a couple of the other networks. So I'm first going to take a look at LinkedIn. And so if I pull up LinkedIn here, you'll notice that LinkedIn, there is a user who has commented on my Sendible LinkedIn account. And so from here, I can see the content, right? What I can also do is come in and show the conversation. Now, if I click show conversation, it's going to show me all of the comments in that post thread. So I can see that here. For LinkedIn, I can show conversation. I can go ahead and repost and I can reply. If I click repost, same thing, it's going to pull that into the compose box. So if it was my content and I was reposting it, if I click reply, it's going to go ahead and allow me to add a comment into the post thread. So if I want to add insight into the comments that I'm seeing a reply, I can do so from here. Keeping in mind when I click reply, it adds a reply into the full post thread. I'm not replying directly to Heidi per se, but I'm adding it into the thread. Moving on from LinkedIn, I want to go ahead and jump into Facebook and Instagram. So let's start with Facebook. And we'll see that same post here. So here's a Facebook user who left a comment on my Sendible Facebook post. You can see that here. I can see the post. You'll notice here I see show conversation. So for Facebook with comments, we have show conversation. Same thing, it's going to go ahead and pull up that post thread for us. Again, repost as well as reply. If I click on reply, as I mentioned, it's going to go ahead and pull my comment into the post thread. Now, one thing I want to show with Facebook is that how you interact with replying on comments can vary from the priority inbox to the social feed. So just keep that in mind for a moment when I show you social feeds. So if I click reply from the priority inbox, it's going to add my comment into the post thread. Moving into Instagram. Here. We'll see that this Instagram user, again, has left a comment on my Sendible post. I can see the comment in my post here. Same thing, show conversation, repost, and reply. Now, I really wanted to highlight Instagram because Instagram is going to be the one network that is a little bit different in that if I click on reply, instead of opening up the compose box, it's actually going to link me to Instagram in a new tab. And so it's going to ask me at that time that I go to Instagram, I log in, and I interact with this post on Instagram natively. And so it does that because for Instagram, we're not able to keep you directly in Sendible. You're going to interact with it in Instagram natively, just in a new tab. So it doesn't close out of your Sendible account. It's just going to link you over and do so that way. And that is a requirement that we have with the API that we use for Instagram. So within the priority inbox, if we're not filtering, so I take out that filter, it's going to go ahead and pull in everything, right? So when I first get in here, it's pulling in Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn. All of those alerts or actionable engagement items are brought in together. If I want to filter out, I can do so by using the filter here. Now I'm going to go ahead and switch into the social feeds to show you what that looks like. To do so, I'm going to switch into a different Sendible account. But just keeping in mind, priority inbox here, again, these are alerts or actionable engagement. The one other thing to keep in mind with the priority inbox is there is going to be a slight delay on when a comment or a message is left on one of your profiles or for one of your profiles to when it comes into the priority inbox. Okay, so it's not going to be real time. There is going to be a slight delay there. If we switch into social feeds here, social feeds are going to be real time and they're going to provide you real time updates from that profile. Now, depending on the social network, again, is going to depend on what you see in the feed. So right now I'm just in this Twitter. And Twitter, from a social feed perspective, is going to give you the most information. So you'll first see here the home feed. And let me just make sure really quick. Yes, you guys can still see, so that's great. So Twitter, as I mentioned, you're going to have the most options when looking at the social feed. You'll see at the top above the actual feed itself, these are going to be the different areas that you're able to see from the social network. So if I moved into LinkedIn, Instagram, or Facebook, these might change. So with Twitter, we're able to see the home feed here. From the home feed, we're able to interact. Now, the different ways that you interact, those icons are going to be here. View source, this is just going to take you to the Twitter account. You can repost, you can like, show conversation. Remember, we took a look at that from the priority inbox as well. Retweet, we also took a look at that. DM, now if I click DM, it's going to allow me to message that user, that Twitter user directly. And then here you'll see it says reply as well. So those are going to be the options from the home feed. You'll notice you can also go into your messages by clicking on messages here. You can see mentions, so any mentions that this account had been mentioned in, tweets, retweets, as well as followers. Now, followers is an interesting one that I actually see customers look, or clients even look to use quite a bit, because you can see engagement from your different followers. And if you click on that Twitter account here, it will actually pull up a preview of their account and allow you to interact with it. So if you're trying to build engagement or increase conversation, you could actually interact with these Twitter users directly right here. You can always view the full profile as well. So Twitter is going to give you the most options here. If we move into LinkedIn, LinkedIn is going to show you the home feed, right? So where Twitter, we saw all of the different options at the top. You don't see those icons here because for LinkedIn, you're going to see just the home feed. And so from the home feed, you're able to see posts, comments, and from here, you're able to interact with them. So you could like it. You can also add a comment. So if I click add a comment, it's going to go ahead and add my comment into the post thread. Now for Instagram, keeping in mind that Instagram is a little bit different. If I come in here, Instagram is going to be similar to LinkedIn in that it's going to show the home feed only. So we don't have those different options at the top because it is specifically the home feed. Now, if we were going to try to interact with this in any way, it's going to link us again to Instagram in a new tab. So just keeping in mind with Instagram, you'll always be brought to Instagram natively, but you're still in Sendible. It's not going to close you out. It's just going to open that new tab for you. Moving into Facebook, if I come in here, let's do this one actually. It's going to go ahead and load for me. And you'll notice for Facebook, I have the home feed and Messenger. So I have both options now with Facebook that I can see my messages as well as my home feed. Now with Facebook, from the social feed, there is a little bit more interaction you are able to have with these engagement items when first looking at the priority inbox. So what I mean by that is if I come into this Facebook account, I can see here, right, that this was a post that was put out, and I can see the engagement. So I can see the likes, who's liked it. I can also see the comments on this. So let's say I was going to add a comment, which I just added that. I can just add a comment, and it adds a comment right here into this post thread. Now, you'll notice though, from here, I also have the option to reply. So this is different than what we saw in the priority inbox in that if I click reply, it's actually going to let me reply back to the user. So creating that reply within the comment thread as opposed to just adding my comment to the thread. So a little bit of differences there. Sometimes I hear the question of, can I reply back to the user directly? You can with Facebook from the social feeds by coming in here and doing so. You can also like their comment. Now I left this comment, so if I wanted to go ahead and delete it, I could go ahead and do so from here just like this. With Facebook, you'll notice your engagement options on the right. So view the source. That's going to take you directly to that Facebook page. You can delete. Now you see the delete icon here. This again is specific to Facebook in that you are able from the social feed to delete this post from the Facebook home feed or timeline. Now you'll probably hear us mention quite a bit that once a post goes live, in order to make any modifications or delete it, you have to go to the social network to do so. The exception would be with Facebook here. As you'll see the delete icon, you know that you can go ahead and actually delete this post from here and it will remove it, just like we did with those comments. You can repost as well as you can like. You can also come into Messenger and interact with your direct messages that way. So priority inbox and social feeds. Priority inbox, think of it as actionable engagement or alerts of items that are happening within your profile. However, those are not going to be in real time. There will be a slight delay in receiving those items into your inbox. Versus social feeds are going to be a full overview of updates from the profile, and those are going to be in real time. And how you're able to interact with the priority inbox or the social feed items is going to vary based on the different social networks. I hope that that was a valuable overview. I'm going to go ahead and ask that Pete jumps on to join me. I know I went a little over on time. I'm so sorry. Hi.
Cool. Hey guys. Hey Heather. Awesome. So we've had a couple of questions through, which is great. So Vanessa, I can see your question here. When engaging with Instagram from the priority inbox, will it log you into the appropriate account automatically? I really wish it would, to be fair. That would be awesome if it did, but unfortunately, because we're reliant on the feed being on basically Instagram side, it would it's not something we can control, unfortunately. Just to give you an example of what I mean by this, let me just share my screen here. Hopefully, mm, hopefully my screen can be seen. So if I pop back to Sendible here, um, and as Heather said, the way we interact with posts on the social feeds and on the priority inbox for Instagram is exactly the same, unfortunately. So if I currently look at Facebook here, I can see that I'm logged into this um, Cats Are Idiots account, which is my testing account essentially, because I think cats are awesome. I love cats, but they are incredibly silly. So if I click on this here, so basically I want to reply to this comment. So I would click on this to get to the post. Unfortunately, it's going to keep me logged in, as you can see here, to this. So I wouldn't be able to comment directly on it. What I would need to do is actually switch accounts and then go and comment on it. I shall get to your question in a second there, Kelly. So, Kathy, what is the home feed and how is it populated? That is a very, very good question. So, obviously, with regards to this, this is the home feed, and the home feed for this is essentially your main feed on your Facebook page. So, if we look at this, we can see that whoever this terrible person is, he's a terrible artist and should actually give things up and stop drawing and doodling places. But as we can see, this is the last post that the extremely active PL Woods Comics has actually posted here on the 18th of September. You can see this is the last post that was made, and this is the last post here. Now, just to go back to demonstrate this a little further, if we delete this here, which is deleted from the home feed, we can come back here and refresh. Internet, don't fail me now. And then we can see the last post then was the one from the 24th of August, which is reflective here as well. Hopefully that answers your question there. So it's basically a live feed of what's going on. How long until the priority inbox updates from live minutes and hours? Essentially, that can differ. So if we actually, let me not go into that one. I'm just going to stop sharing momentarily, just so I can jump into the same account that you're in there, Heather. And let me just reshare. Oh, that's disabling my camera. There we go. You can all see me again. Lovely. Cool. Okay. So if we look at this account from Ellie, essentially the delay on why this actually one of the reasons why the delay happens for the priority inbox, and it can be anything from 40 minutes to a couple of hours. And the biggest reason why this can be delayed is because of these little dots here. Now, what these dots represent are what's called sentiment analysis. And essentially what we do is we actually monitor all the posts that come through, as Heather said, actionable insights posts or feed, essentially. I love the idea of that. I've never actually heard it referred to like that, but I love thinking of it like that. And we can see that this one here has got a little red dot against it. And we can see that Nicole Smith has said, wow, you're a huge Hootsuite advocate. Can't believe their service levels have dropped. So even though this is actually a positive thing for us, because they've used can't believe have dropped, that's actually a negative, being marked as a negative thing. So because of and this is what's called sentiment analysis, and because of this can be a little bit delayed there. What does mentions and tweets update limit has been reached mean? Okay, so to understand sorry, was it Mike? It's Kelly. Sorry, Kelly. So to understand what Kelly is referring to here, if we go to the mentions tab of this, we can see that this is happening here. And essentially, why this is happening is due to Twitter restricting the number of live updates of mentions and tweets that third parties are allowed to retrieve in a roll until 24-hour. To put it simply, essentially what happens is we've got a number of requests that we can make from Twitter to be able to populate this area. And what's happening is, unfortunately, that level is actually getting hit a little bit sooner than we would like to be able to last the full 24 hours. We are working in conjunction with Twitter to actually be able to get this increased. And currently we're just waiting for an update from Twitter so we can get this increased, and then you wouldn't have to worry about that. But we do apologize for the inconvenience that is causing you. I can totally understand how irritating that is. How long? Sorry, if I answered that one.
You did, yes. That was just.
I did. Oh, okay, cool. Can we get alerts when there's activity in the priority inbox? You can indeed. Basically, when you set up a profile, if we pop across to my profiles here, what's an easy one that I can just jump into? Let's just use this a second. So just to remind everyone, when you're setting up a Facebook or Instagram account, always make sure that you select all here. And you have all of these selected. It's going to make your life a lot easier. But if we look at the actual profile settings here, we can see we've got the option to receive alerts for new activity within the actual profile settings itself. And we can see that we've got the option here for priority inbox only, priority inbox and emails, email only, or none at all. So you can actually completely turn off the alerts if you want to. So you wouldn't see them in your priority inbox. But essentially, if you want to have them on your phone, for argument's sake, if you've got the same email account attached to your phone and you have this set to priority inbox and email, when you get an alert for new activity, that would actually come through to your phone, which would be awesome. But the default option that most people have is the priority inbox only. So that's something you can do there if you wanted to do that. Cool. I'm going to stop sharing my screen so it stops doing that woo thing like that, because it's quite strange. And just see if there's any other questions that anyone has got anywhere.
We do have another minute if anyone has anything else to pop through. Lisa, just to add to that, Pete mentioned that's the default option. So I often get asked by like clients of customers, how come I'm receiving notifications for this, or how come this isn't coming into the priority inbox? If you change the default, that's where that's coming from, is when they initially set up that profile connection. It does always default to priority inbox, but if it's changed, that's where it can be modified. Let's see. Awesome. Thanks so much, Lisa. It doesn't look like we have any other questions. So just to kind of wrap everything up, thank you guys so much for joining. Hopefully you found that to be valuable in understanding the little bit of the differences there and how to interact with each area. We will go ahead and get this webinar recorded. It is recorded, so we'll get it uploaded into our help desk within the next couple of days. In addition to that, we will also include a couple helpful resources that we have. There's 2 different articles in our help desk, one related to the priority inbox and one related to social feeds. So we'll include that in the recording. You can always find our previous recorded webinars through our help desk. You just ever go to the help desk, you'll see them in there. And then just a reminder, we do hold these sessions every Thursday at 12 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. UK time, British summer time, I believe is the current time there. And we try to focus on a different topic. So please be on the lookout for the invites, and we would love to have you join us. If you do ever have a suggestion for a new topic, you can submit those over to us at success@sendible.com. Again, that's just success@sendible.com, and we will look to add that in for an upcoming session.
Awesome. And because Strictly Come Dancing is back on the UK, let's just finish with a keep sending. There we go.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much. UK, yes, Nicola. Awesome. Thank you guys. We'll see you next week. Have a great week.
Cheers, guys.
Bye.